There are legal doorways that Satan seeks to open up in the minds and the lives of our children, dark consequences. And like I said before, I'm not like a Nazi calling for a book burning, but I'm calling for the discernment now. It's about high time we stopped playing and embracing sin and took a stand for righteousness, because there are souls at stake. We can't simply say, oh, society is getting worse and worse and worse every day. What a tragedy and a shame that is, without realizing why it's getting worse and worse every single day and where that tragedy lies, because that tragedy lies at the doorstep of the church. Because we are the only ones that can do something about it. We are the only ones who have the solution. We are the only ones who can do something about this. We are the only ones who can overcome the devil, because the devil is only overcome by the blood of the Lamb, the word of the testimony, and not loving the life unto the death. Ain't nobody else but the remnant of God in possession of those tools in this hour. Seem to have left my tools somewhere out in the garage, but I don't know where. I'll probably go out there later on this week and sift around a bunch and try to find those tools. And then the weekend comes and we're still inside. It's a poor analogy, but it's what I went with. And one more dose of reality before we really get going. We haven't even gotten going yet. What you're looking at right here, I just pulled this from Amazon. You can go fact check this yourself. I just typed up bestsellers in teen and young adult books. This is from last night. That's how current this is. Last night I pulled this up. Like I said, I'm not sitting here like, you got to burn the Harry Potter books. You got to, I'm saying if that's the issue, let me just say something here. If that's the issue that you're worried about, whether I'm speaking against Harry Potter or if we should burn Harry Potter books, or if, then you are missing the point. Because this is a symptom of a spiritual hunger that our young adults and our teenagers have. And these books are answering that need. When those things are ripoffs, none of those stories in this book compare to the glory and majesty of the stories in this book. What are the bestsellers in teen and young adult books, according to Amazon? And let me tell you something. Amazon's about the only place really selling books nowadays. So this is pretty accurate. Number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, number 6. All the Harry Potter books. You're like, I was shocked by that personally. Can I just say something? I was shocked by that. I was shocked by that. I thought Harry Potter was a thing of the past, like Twilight. I thought, yeah, maybe there's still some people that love the Harry Potter, and there's still some people that might be watching the movies. There's still some people maybe still reading the Harry Potter. It's still number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And it actually goes down into the top 10. I just screenshotted the first 6. How are these things still the number 1 selling books for teens and young adults? We as adults, if it's not new, it's worthless, right? We got to get a new car every 5 years. We got to get a new iPhone every time a new iPhone comes out. We got to get a new iWatch no matter whether our old iWatches are working or not. They put out a new computer, we got to get it. Like I'm thankful for my new computers. I had it for 12 years before I upgraded. because I'm not in a rat race rush. But you would think that these Harry Potter books were old and outdated. No, they're still number one. Number three. Number three is a trilogy called the Shadow and Bone trilogy. This also has become a Netflix series because Netflix loves this because kids and young adults, they spend money to watch this stuff. And kids bug their parents and say, hey, man, can we get the Netflix? Because I want to watch these shows. And the parents are like, works for me, dude. Because if you're watching Netflix, you're not bugging me. And I'd rather have you watching the Netflix than being out there on the internets, getting molested by strangers. So sure, man. This is easier than being a dad or a mom. Yeah, just go ahead and watch those Netflix. Shadow and Bones. Let's look at what this book's all about. You'll see that the grade level that this is recommended is 7th through 12th grade. Let's see what 7th through 12th graders are reading. Shadow and Bone. It says soldier, summoner, saint, orphaned and expendable. Alina Strava is a soldier who knows she may not survive the first trek against the Shadow Ford, a swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. But when her regiment is attacked, Alina unleashes dormant magic that she didn't even know she possessed. Now Alina will enter a lavish world of royalty and intrigue as she trains with the Grishna, her country's magical military elite, and falls under the spell of their notorious leader, the Darkling. He believes Alana can summon an ancient mystical force capable of destroying the Shadow Ford and reuniting their war-ravaged country, but only if she can master her untamed gift. As the threat to the kingdom mounts and Alana unlocks the secrets of her past, she will need to make a dangerous discovery that could threaten all she loves in the future of a nation. Welcome to Ravnica, a world of science and superstition where nothing is as it seems. Young people, they be eating this up because in their heart, they feel that they're orphaned and they feel that they're expendable. But in reality, they see themselves as a soldier in a saint. They didn't even know all this mystical black magic and spell incantations that they had. But this book will teach them. This book will teach them. I don't know why this came to my head, but it did. I was in a church. I was visiting a church. This was not my home church. But, you know, sometimes you go through a period where you're church hop or you're visiting other churches or you're just switching it up for a little bit. And I remember going to a church. It was a small church, but it had enough people that they had youth ministries and children's ministries and Sunday schools and whatnot. And I remember the pastor getting up in the pulpit, punking out his congregation to make a point. And I can't believe I forgot this, but I think this is very germane. Let me go back full screen here. Germane to what we're talking about. So this pastor gets up and he says, we had Sunday school today, and in most Pentecostal churches, the Sunday school happens before the service starts. We had Sunday school today, and we decided that we were going to poll your children. We were going to ask your children a couple of questions and see what kind of responses we got from your young kids. The first question that we asked is, does mommy and daddy read their Bible and pray together? Does mommy and daddy cuss and fight? Does mommy and daddy pray with me, the young kid? Does mommy and daddy read the Bible to me? But we asked all your kids this question. I swear to goodness, man, you could have heard a pin drop in that place. And I'm sitting there being like, I'm glad I'm getting the kids. The kids dropped the dimes on the parents. Oh, that's getting real. I saw parents putting their head down because they knew the answer to those questions. They were watching bad stuff. They weren't reading the Bible. They were fighting. They're on the verge of divorce because, after all, 1 in every 2 Christian marriages end in divorce, right? And they sure as heck weren't praying with their kids at night, and they sure as heck weren't doing Bible studies. Instead, most parents are like, I don't know what's up with that youth minister, man. I send my kid to Sunday school and I send them to midweek youth groups, and they're still twice a child of hell. Do you do any Bible study and praying with your kids at home? No, but that's the youth minister's responsibility. Anyways, you could have heard a pin drop. Right? They found out. Our sin found us out. Your sin will find you out. People were, if that minister would have took an altar call right then, that place would have been flooded. And then he says, just kidding. We didn't ask him that. We really didn't ask of that. But the expression on every one of your faces told me what would have happened if I would have. Punked out his whole congregation. Punk them all out. Why am I saying this? Because parents will allow their children, Christian parents will allow their children to read this, but they won't read them the Bible. They'll read books like Serpent and Dove, which I believe was still in the top 10. Still in the top 10. This one's recommended grade level 9 to 12, so this is a little bit more mature. This is the New York Times bestseller, indie-bound bestseller, Amazon book of 2019, Barnes & Noble's Young Adult Book Club pick. This is a brilliant debut full of everything I love, sparkling and fully realized heroine, an intricate, deadly system of magic, a searing romance that kept me reading long into the night. Serpents and Dove is an absolute gem of the book. Bound as one to love, honor, or burn. Book 1 is a stunning fantasy trilogy. This tale of witchcraft and forbidden love is perfect for fans of the Kendra Blake and Sarah Holland. I don't know who those people are. 2 years ago, Louise LeBlanc fled her coven and took shelter in the city of Cesarine, forsaking all magic and living off whatever she could steal. There, witches like Lou are hunted, they are feared, and they are burned. As a huntsman of the church, Reed Diggory has lived his life by one principle: thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. But when Lou pulls a wicked stunt, the two are forced to make an impossible situation happen, which is marriage. Lou, unable to ignore her growing feelings, yet powerless to change what she is, must make a choice, and love makes fools of us all. So, church bad? Deuteronomy about witchcraft being bad? These people are the evil people. Who are the good people? The witches. The witches. It gets worse. This magical mysticism that they're preaching in these books, just a gateway drug to the dark occultic romance books, like the 2 that you're going to see next. This is just an example of a shocking, staggering amount of books that I found. I just picked the 2 highest ranking ones. They have a whole subgenre called paranormal young adult romantic fiction. And yeah, it's as bad as what you think it sounds. This one's called Mate Finder. This one's recommended for people ages 16 to 18. Werewolves, facing the threat of extinction, desperately seek their mate to bear young. Aurora, a human far removed from the supernatural world, is nearing her own end after being fatally injured in a car accident. An alpha werewolf, Kai, lurks in nearby trees watching her bleed, and he chooses to save her the only way he knows how, by changing her. As Aurora settles into the pack life, she struggles with her past as a domestic abuse survivor and the new dominating and violent lifestyle of a werewolf. But no one is prepared for what happens next. The tide turns in favor of the werewolves, and the mate finder has been found. And she is more powerful than anybody ever imagined. But is she prepared to be the most hunted werewolf in history? BDK, why are you talking about werewolves, man? That's just science fiction. Yeah, and I would agree with that until they're starting to make human hybrids in China labs. You read about the occult practices of skinwalking and lycanthropy, and there's a reason why this stuff and vampirism, there's a reason why this stuff is so deeply embedded in our mythology. But regardless of whether or not there are real werewolves running around changing people, we got 16-year-olds running around romanticizing about having sex with werewolves and taking back the power of all the abuse and domestic violence in their life. How do you take back that control of domestic abuse and violence and being disregarded by society? Just have sex with werewolves, apparently. This one's worse. This one's called Saving Angel. This is the book one in the Davissa series, whatever that is. The publisher of this book is Dark Magical Publishing, LLC. That's magic with a CK, which means it's occult black magic. This is for grade levels 9 through 12. Bunch of 16-year-olds reading this too. What's the premise of this book? Can a human and a half-demon fall in love? Question mark. How far will Chase go to save Angel from demons, hellhounds, and hell? This is a wonderful love story full of love, courage, and the strength of friends. Come enjoy the destiny of a human girl who falls in love with a half-demon and the adventures that they and their friends have, along with the power of their love and the obstacles that try to separate them. Half-demons, hybrids, Nephilim. And you got young girls and guys fantasizing about romantic encounters. This subgenre called paranormal young adult romantic fiction. Recess is about over in the playground of the damned. If guys, I don't know what to say, man. If this doesn't move you to want to go and be a watchman on the wall and preach this gospel and to take seriously the mission that Jesus left us to destroy the works of the devil, to cast out devils so that the kingdom of God can come, to walk in the supernatural power of God, to loose the captives, to be a steward of the real gospel, to obey the gospel of Christ. If this doesn't move you, that our children, our precious youngsters, are fantasizing about having sex with demonic half-breeds, then what is going to move you? What's going to move the needle for you then? Is there not a cause? Isn't that what David said when he stood across the field and saw Goliath just standing there? I'm not saying that we're David. I'm not trying to read us into that story, but I'm telling you, man, his reaction was right. He saw this demonic genetic mutation of a demon seed, man, woman, genetic hybrid giant, bad mouthing God and causing fear and panic. And he's like, how come we haven't handed this dude his backside yet? Is there not a cause? Who's going to go out there and represent God? If the fact that young children are being caught up in a dragnet of human hybrid alien garbage and all the stuff and the possession and the shadow creatures creeping by their cribs and their beds, demons giving them sleep paralysis and saying, I'm going to choke you till you die. If none of this moves the needle, then what moves your needle? Is there any doubt, any longer that we're living prophetically in the days of Noah? That the countdown has begun? And if it is, then let's have the important part of this conversation, which is our response. Our response. Let's start with this. To sum up everything that I've been talking about for the last 3 hours. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Don't participate. Don't make excuses. Don't say these Harry Potter books and these other things are my personal pet enjoyments, and take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Expose them.